Hey, good morning. How's everyone doing? Hey, Lachlan. Scratch 2K. There's a name I haven't heard in a long time. How you doing? Phil Potts, that's me. Welcome. Who else we got? Tarasag. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but welcome. So, how's everyone's lockdown going? Mine's a bit challenging. I got homeschooling going on. So my wife is taking care of homeschooling at the moment, and I've got homeschooling in the afternoon. So that's awesome. But no, everything's going pretty well. How's everyone else? And yes, Lachlan, you are quite right. They are audio engine speakers that I have. Scratch, you came to learn Xamarin and chew bubblegum. So Scratch is somebody I used to play a lot of games with. Used to work with him many years ago. Been doing a lot of baking. Fantastic. Very cool. All right. Let's have a look at what we're going to work on. So speaking of baking, we're going to bake up a Xamarin.Forms UI. So last stream, people said, yeah, they prefer Fridays. I kept on doing Xamarin UI challenges. So we'll do that. So down here, in fact, let me switch over to this view here. This here is the UI. I thought we'd give it a go. You like that segue, Lachlan? I thought it was pretty special. All right, so we're going to do this UI, and this one's a little bit interesting. I quite like this design. It's simple, but it has a fair amount of complexity in it. So what I like about it, or a couple of the elements that we see in here, is first of all, we've got a pizza. Nothing wrong with the pizzas. Pizzas are good. The pizza animates. It's got an interesting way of selecting the sizes of the pizzas as well, which I quite like. And it's also got a couple of interesting things going on sort of down the bottom here. So when they change the quantities here, it does this sort of little flip out of the numbers. And the other really cool thing as well in this UI is when you add something to your cart, it sort of like chomps it into the button here, which is pretty cool. Here it is. It's about to happen just down here. That's pretty cool. So I really like that. So I thought we'd give this a go, and it'll probably take a couple of streams to do, I reckon. So sit back and enjoy whatever you're doing, and ask any questions as we go along. Crack any jokes, heckle if you like. It's all good. All right, so maybe where we'll start out with this one is we'll go ahead and we will get our good old friend Adobe XD, which is right about here. And let's add the design in here, and let's see what we can do. Who uses XD, by the way? Let me just grab a couple of screenshots from this puppy. You fumble with XD? We all fumble with XD. I fumble with XD all the time. All right, I'm just going to grab a quick screen capture here so we can get some colors and things like that. All right, so let's create ourselves. Yeah, so hey Nick, how you doing? I do exactly the same, Nick. If I'm doing my own UIs, I draw them on paper first. Probably can't see it here, but this is exactly what I do. I print out some PDFs, right? And with just some blank phones on them, and then just draw them with pencil, and that's where I go from. Now in this case here, we've already got a design. So we're just gonna sort of replicate this for fun and profit. All right. So here we go. Let's start off with XD. Let's create ourselves a rectangle, and this is where we're going to put the image. just so we can see how it looks. There we are. Okay, so that's going to give us some idea of colors and things like that. Hi, MJ Freelancing. Welcome. All right, I'm just going to resize this a little bit, I think. And bring it across a little bit. There we are, that'll do. All right, so here's one of the reasons I like Adobe XD is because it's nice and easy to actually create some animated sort of mock-ups as well. So let's do that. I'll show you a cool thing with Adobe XD. But first what I'm going to do is I'm just going to capture a few colors here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, steal that background color there. What other colors have we got? So there's a yellow there. Rest of it's pretty much whitish sort of colors. Okay, so this is what I was going to show you. Let's add Storyboard in here, and I actually found a picture of a margarita pizza. Now, I should ask the question: who's for pineapple on pizzas? I like pineapple on pizzas. I know that makes me a heretic, but you know, my preferred pizza is actually a margarita, to tell you the truth. Pineapple and ham, so Hawaiian. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just grab this in. Lachlan, 100 bits. That's because you love Hawaiian. All right, let's stick a Hawaiian pizza in there. No, it's not Hawaiian, that's a margarita. All right, so this is one of the cool things you can do with Adobe XD, right? Is let's create ourselves a basic sort of basic layout here. So let's say you were doing this design and you wanted to Clover pizza. Let's say you were doing this design and you wanted to test out this animation. So here's something you could do, right? You could actually come here and you could say, let's create this sort of the way it looks. It starts off with this pizza sitting, I don't know, about there. Okay. And then I could say, okay, well, let's duplicate this. And then I could say, okay, well, what I want it to do is I want it to, what it does is it grows a little bit and it rotates a little bit like this, right? And then the next sort of state for this pizza, if you like, is when it's a small pizza. So I could do this, right? I could say, let's go and duplicate this bad boy and then say, all right, let's rotate it around to there. Let's resize it down to say here. Okay. And then I'll duplicate this again. Let's see if this works. Hopefully this will work. And I say, okay, well then I've got my medium pizza and it rotates a little bit more. And then we'll duplicate this again. And then I've got my large pizza. All right. So what I should be able to do with this is I should be able to use the prototype now function and say, okay, well, let's say I go ahead and I click on this pizza. I want it to go to here. And then I click on this pizza and I go to here. I click on this pizza, I go to here. I click on this pizza, I go to here. Okay. And then I can actually change this so that the transitions between them not dissolve. The transition is auto animate between each of these. And I think what we'll find is if I come in here and where's my preview window? Oh, hang on. One thing I have done here is for each of these elements, I've still got the border on. There we go. That'll look better. All right. Let's see if this works. So I got my pizza. I click on that. It goes down. This one's still got a border on it. Let's get rid of that border. All right, let's come back here. Let's have a look. So I got my pizza. I can click on it. Spins down. Comes down here. Like that. That's pretty cool. That's something really nice you can do with Adobe XD. You can basically do these animations. Now I don't have a way of exporting them to Xamarin, unfortunately. Where's my preview window? Why isn't it showing me the right one? All right, so here we go. Whoop, 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 whoop. Beautiful. So that's pretty cool, right? So we can get that sort of stuff done, which is really nice. All right, let's, what's happening in the chat? Drew, you finished your, holy moly, you finished your assignment on making a Turing machine design. That sounds pretty full on. Alrighty, cool. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's start creating some of this UI in Xamarin.Forms. So we've got ourselves a color here. Let's start off running our application. Actually, let's bring the pineapple picture in first. Let's do that. That's a good idea before I actually go ahead and deploy this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use mfractor to import that image. Just saves me having to create it under each of the platform projects. So we import a new image. We'll choose an image. We are going to go to, I created a folder called pizza. Let's grab our pizza image. Let's bring that in. It's a pretty big pizza, but that's okay. Import that. Let's just see if that worked. Oh, it's unloading my project. That's not good. Okay, got the pizzas in there. All right. So let's grab our page. We've got our main page. I'll go and spin this up on an emulator so as we can do this a bit interactively. Wait for our build. While we're waiting for our build, we could have a look at this UI and have a bit of a think about how we might do this. All right. So my thinking here, and everyone, please feel free to let me know what you think. But I'm thinking this pizza whizzing around the whole place, sort of moving here and moving there and moving along like that. I think it's probably going to have to be an absolute layout for that in order to get the control that we need to position things. So I think we'll use an absolute layout, but I think as well as that, what we should also do is probably use a grid with an absolute layout inside of it, because I want to sort of keep these bits here. Still be able to do those without having to do the absolute layout all the time for those. Ooh. Scratch, you noticed my channel currency is space bucks. Another blast from the past. Beautiful. All right, cool. So we're going to add a Xamarin.Forms application here. So let's do this. Let's get our pizza. Let's get rid of stack layouts. Nobody likes stack layouts. Let's have a grid in our page. And I think let's start off with just a couple of rows. The first one will just be a star size, just to take up all of the space. And the second row definition, we'll have that as like, I don't know, 80 or something. That's where the button's going to go. And just for giggles, let's put in a resource dictionary in here. And we'll put in our color. So we'll call this background. And let's steal that background color. All right, cool. Now let's add our pizza in, and our button perhaps. Okay, let's add our button in first. So we'll grab our button color. All right, so let's go ahead, set a button in grid row 1. The text is going to be something like add to basket, maybe add to cart. Got myself a little bracket here. Beautiful. And look at this. All right, add to cart. Beautiful. So we want to style this puppy up, right? Let's start off by saying, let's give it a background color of our button color. Beautiful. Let's give it a height request of say 60. Let's make it vertically centered. we want it to fill across. We're going to give it a corner radius of, say, 30. Sounds about right. Whoop. Beautiful. Let's give it a bit of margin. So we'll take it in 20 from the sides. 10 from the top and bottom. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's okay. We'll do some fonts in a moment. Get that in here. But what I really want to play around with is this pizza. So let's go and add in an image here. Actually, we'll just make sure we got our pizza first. All right, we got a pizza. Beautiful. A delicious pizza. So now one way we could do it, right? We could do this, right? We could say translation Y is like minus 100, 200, whatever, right? We could do that, and then we could move it down via those via translations, and we could apply rotations to it as well. So we could say rotate it by 45 degrees, which is pretty much going to look the same except rotate a little. So we could definitely do that, but given the UI that we're trying to recreate here actually is sort of positioned in very specific spots, I think what we're better off doing is using absolute layout for this. It just gives us a little bit more control. Okay, it makes it a little bit harder to do resizable or responsive designs, but we kind of need to have that control. So maybe I'll put in an absolute layout here. All right, so this is going to be an absolute layout, which is going to be in grid row 0. So there's nothing wrong with combining together your different layouts, right? And if we give that a background color, we should see that that's in the top half of the screen. Beautiful. Okay. So let's say we had an image layout here, and it's in an absolute. So I can say absolute layout dot layout bounds. All right. Let me put this up here behind my head. All right, so with layout bounds, you give it 4 values, right? So 0, 0, 1, 1. Now to start off with, that would make it disappear, which is not what I was after. So let's give it an absolute layout flag. So it gets pretty confusing. I don't really like using absolute layouts because it kind of, I find it kind of a little bit confusing. But I think if we say, let's get rid of that translation and that rotation. Right, so that's saying I want it positioned at 0, 0, and I want it to be the height and the width. All right, so if I said I wanted this to be half the width, I could say 0.5, okay? And now it's half the width, but it's starting at 0, so I could say 0.5, and that would put it right smack in the middle, right? But it's going to be pretty hard to do all this stuff proportionally, I think. I don't know what you all feel, but what I prefer to do when I'm using layout bounds is if I say like none, okay, then I can actually make this exactly how I want it. So I could say, for example, 0, 0. If I said 100, 100. Okay, it's actually going from the point 0, 0 to 100, 100. Okay, or I could say put this at 100x, 100y, and make it 100 by 100. Okay, cool. So now, in my case, I'm going to want to actually go and size this programmatically based on the size of the screen, right? Because I'm probably going to want to have something which is like, let's say if I did 0, 0, I want this to be wider than the screen, right? But I don't know how wide the screen is at the moment. So, I'm going to have to change that. Can I do it in percentage also? So there's hundreds of pixels. Well, it depends on what I have set in the layout flags, actually. I find, so in the layout flags, you've got whether it's height proportional, position proportional, size proportional, width, height, etc. Right? Lachlan mentioned position proportional. Right? So you can certainly do that. Right? But you know, if I did size proportional, right? Then if I said 0, 0, 1, 1, that should be the full width, right? So it's basically saying, I want this to be the full height. So if I said 0.5, that would be half the width and half the height. So that's 50%. I think let's see what happens if I go 2, 2, that should be double. Yeah, so now it's 200%. if you like. So it depends on which of these flags you have set here on how it interprets these values. But because I'm going to have to be very explicit about where this thing goes, that's why I'm going to go with none, right? So it's basically pixels. Well, actually, it's not pixels. It's Xamarin.Forms units, right? So so if I had 0022, you see, you might not see it, but it's a tiny little dot just up here. So I'm basically doing this in Xamarin.Forms units, which translates down to the platform, right? So in iOS, it's going to be points. In Android, it's going to be device-independent pixels. Does that make sense, player phone? So it's not technically pixels. It's whatever the platform interprets 100 to be. Which in the case of like this Android emulator, it's probably at like 2.5. Hey, Jessipas, welcome. All right, cool. So it actually doesn't really matter where I put this thing at the moment, right? Because I'm going to have to size it dynamically in code. So player fine, coming from HTML, CSS background, I would use none most of the time. Yeah, because you can do it with pixel. But, you know, remember, I suppose it's the same on the web. You know, everything is changes quite a bit, you know, in terms of responsive design. So, but, you know, you can use absolute layout to do percentages for sure. Jessica, so you're saying that if I use height request of 200 on iOS, that'll be 200 pixels and Android 200 DPI. It'll actually be, yeah, so yes, if I did a height request of 200, in iOS it would be 200 points, right? So it's either going to be, you know, like 1 times or 2 times or 3 times, right? And on Android, it would be 200 DPs. Yeah. So it basically, Xamarin.Forms just passes it down to the platform, which is cool, right? From a Xamarin.Forms perspective, because it means it's a lot easier to do responsive design, or at least deal with the different sizes. Cool. All right. So I'm going to have to give this a name, right? So let's say X and name equals, let's call it pizza, right? Layout bounds doesn't matter so much to begin with. All right, so why don't we just try, first of all, getting this pizza to appear in the right spot, and then we'll get it to animate through its various states. That might be a good challenge for today. And in order to do that, I think probably what I will do is actually go and use a bit of code that I've used in a previous project. Oops, let me bring that up. Hey, Anthony, welcome and thanks for the follow. We're cooking up some pizzas. All right, so I'm going to go to github.com to something like Mountain Mobile, which I think is where we used it. So what I had in here was a bit of code I stole. Is it in here? Maybe it's not in here. Where did I have it? Somewhere I had a storyboard class, which just helps me out with the animations a little bit. I'm just trying to think which one it would be in. Hey, Scratch. Just came to heckle me. Feel free to drop past anytime and heckle me. Yeah, take care, mate. And yeah, Fridays, I normally do this, which is like bumble around. But yeah, stay safe, man. All right, I'm just trying to find here we go, fancy hamburger. Iceland moss. That'll probably do it for me, I reckon. Got far too many repos. Storyboard. This is what we're after. All right, so this is going to help us out a little bit here. So I'm just going to steal this code here. I should probably put it into a NuGet, I reckon. But let's go and add this in. Okay, so all this, or add it to Xamarin.Forms. All right, I'm gonna add a few usings in here. I think that's most of them. All right, beautiful. So now what I'm hoping I can do is this. I can come into my main page. Let's create ourselves a storyboard. Actually, before we even do that, what we could do is we could just play around with positioning it, I suppose. Nah, let's just do it straight in the storyboard. It'd be more fun to do it in the storyboard. All right. Now, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to work out when the page size changes. What's a storyboard? Okay, so player find. What the storyboard here is, right? This is actually just a class I've created, which allows us to do to basically have objects and their view states or view values in different states. So I can say move from the pizza to the pizza expanded to the pizza small to the pizza large, and it will handle those animations for me, so I don't have to code them all up. So this is just a helper class that that we've had before. Xamarin.Forms does have the concept of a storyboard. It's like a container for animations as well. All right, so we've got on appearing here, right? So on appearing, maybe what we'll do here is we'll say we want to work out when our size has changed. So we'll hook up to that event. And then inside of here, we're going to calculate our size for our images, essentially based on the size of the actual screen itself, right? Because at this point, when size change, we should have the width and the height and things like that. So I see Nikinsi. What are we doing? We're basically creating ourselves a nice little animation. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Where is it? All right. We're just basically going to reproduce this UI here in Xamarin.Forms. All right. So if we want to calculate the size here, let's say our image size, right? Because our image size is going to change based on how big the device is. So we might say our image size is like the width of the page times 1.5, right? Because when this whole thing starts out, it's basically bigger than it's wider than the page and it's offset at the top here. So we'll start it off as 1.5. Gomans, welcome. And thanks for the follow. All right, so let's work out where the left of this should be, right? So our image size is, so if we imagine the page here, you know, our page looks like this, and we got this big old pizza. We want the pizza to be to start off like this, right? So this here is like, you know, 1.5 times the width of the page. So what we want to do is we want to get to get the left position here, we want to get the width of the pizza minus the width of this divided by 2. Does that make sense? So the left of it is going to be our image size minus the width of the page. Divide that by 2. Okay, so that's going to give us our left position. Now the top of it is, let's say we want half of the pizza. So we'll say, you know, or half of the image. So we'll say image size times 0.5, for example. Now, what we should be able to do is we should be able to then say, let's work out our rectangle. All right. And we'll put this into a storyboard a little bit in just a moment, but we'll say, okay, so let's create a new rectangle. And this is the way I like to do it. Instead of calculating too much, right? What I can do is I can say, let's go and get a rectangle, which starts at 0, image size by image size, right? So that's our rectangle for our image. And then I can actually adjust the position of it by saying like start rect equals, start rect dot location, change its location, equals, and I can give it a point and I can say, let's subtract the left and let's subtract the top, right? So in other words, we're saying that left gives me the amount of that it should go to the left. This is giving me the amount that I want to go off the top. So I'm actually just adjusting the position of the rect. So now if I do something like this and I say like our absolute layout dot set layout bounds for our pizza to our start rect, something like that. Greetings programs, or greetings Clinton. Welcome. How you doing today? Let's see what that does. Let's see if that positions our pizza roughly where we want. Hey, Dragon. Welcome. And thanks for the resubscribe. 11 months. That's so cool. And Rodrigo, thanks for the Twitch Prime subscription as well. Beautiful. And Anders, hello. Welcome. So Dragon, you've got your green screen all ready to stream. And he still hasn't seen a cent. Twitch is funny, right? Like, yeah, it kind of like collects all your money and then pays you at certain points. And it's only if you're like a big streamer that you get payouts. Anyway, look, hey, look. Our pizza here is pretty much in the right spot, right? So it's sort of, I don't know, I suppose it's sitting up like that somewhere, right, run out of screen space, but it's 1.5 the width. And we've basically gone and taken half the image and we've moved it back there. Cool. So there we are. Our pizza's in the right place. Gonmans, what language are you using? So we're developing in C# here. So this is C#, the language. We are developing Xamarin.Forms in this case. Right, so we're doing a little bit of Xamarin.Forms work, which allows us to use C# to write iOS and Android applications, which is really nice. Okay, let's see if this works. Right, so there it is running on an Android. Right, so the idea is that I've let's see if I'm connected to my Mac. I should be able to go ahead and I should be able to have the same bit of code run on iOS. I mean, it's not very exciting code at the moment. So we got that, right? Let's see if my Android builds. Sorry, my iOS builds. And hopefully we should see that we can have both of these. Both platforms using the same code base. So Gonmans, yeah, look familiar. Know a bit of C++, JavaScript, Python. Yeah. I've never used Python, but yeah, similar to C. It's a C derivative. Okay, let's see what happens here. Let's see if this runs. That was interesting. All right. So we've got our two platforms here, both with our pizza. Okay, so they've got different screen sizes, but they both sort of resize nicely. So depending on how we do this, we may want to say that this pizza is a certain amount down from here, maybe not. You notice other couple of differences as well, like the button down here in iOS uses sort of that blue text. Here it uses that ripple effect, but we can set that for sure. All right, let's go back to iOS because it's a little bit quick. Android because it's a little bit quicker for me to develop with Android. surprisingly. Cool.
Today we're gonna code lots with Mr.
Hey, Piero.
Oh, how amazing you'll be.
Welcome. Thanks for the follow. We're just playing around pizzas. A bit of Xamarin.Forms. All right. So let's say now we want a few different states, right? So and we want to animate between these. So I'm going to create a state here, and we'll have a start state. We'll have an entrance state. We'll have a small, a medium, and a large, right? So to go back through, just coming back to our design here. Where are you? Okay, so we've got a few different states. We've got when it's small, when it's medium, when it's large. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to use the the storyboard to go ahead and create these. So we'll say a storyboard. So when the size changes. Yeah, so Dragon, missed the start of the stream, but did you decide on doing UA stuff Friday still and then other stuff another day? Yeah, so I'm still a bit undecided. Hey, Glenn Stevens. But I think from the last stream, people said they're interested in UI stuff on Friday. So I'll keep that schedule where we're doing UI. And then the other stuff, which is weekly Xamarin, creating that mobile application. I'll probably do that maybe even at nights or some other time.
Today we're gonna code lots with Mr. Kim Phil Potson. Oh, how amazing you'll be.
All right, let's create a storyboard. So actually, Glenn Stevens is one of the people who convinced me that storyboards is the way to go for animations. I kind of knew that anyway, but I totally agree. Okay, so storyboard. So what we can do now is we can say, let's get our storyboard and let's add a state. So we had state dot, let's go to our starting state. And what it needs is it needs a collection of view transitions. So we're going to an array of those. And what this allows us to do is basically say, okay, whenever I'm in the starting state, I want a view transition and I want my pizza its layout to be in a certain position, right? And so that's probably going to be start rect. Yeah. So Lachlan says, I think you need to come up with a different name to storyboard. Yeah. So this is not, Lachlan's quite right. Lachlan's quite right in that I shouldn't call it storyboard because there is where is it? Storyboard? Do they have a storyboard? I thought it was a storyboard in Xamarin.Forms. There is, isn't there? Maybe there's not. Maybe it's just an animation. Anyway, it's not a great name. It should probably be like a, I don't know, animation help or animation state controller or something like that. Rodrigo says, do you have any updated resources to learn more about fast and easy animations? Yeah, it's in iOS, that's right. Actually, you know what I saw today come through, which I'll put into the weekly Xamarin this week. Stephen created, there we are, a really, really nice blog post on playing with animations. I'm going to throw this out into the chat window. So that's a really, really good introduction, actually, to animations. Yeah, so Storyboard is something that I created. That's true. And the place I got it from was actually the Xamarin blog. Was from here, actually. This is where I originally stole it from. So this blog post here where they talked about using a state machine to control animations, right? And there was some nice code, so I went and I stole that. But yeah, I probably should rename it. Maybe we should rename it now. Animation state machine would be a good name. All right, well, let's go rename that thing. And we'll see how much stuff we break. There we go. All right. Okay, so what have we said here? We've said that when we're in a starting state, we want our pizza to be laid out to this start rack that we created. Yeah, thank God Glenn's here to save us, to do our naming for us. All right, so cool. And let's do this. Let's also say when it's in a starting state, we also have our pizza rotated to 0. All right, cool. So that's that seems kind of nice, right? Makes sort of total sense, because what we can do then is we can say, okay, storyboard. Okay, so we can say like storyboard, where are you? Story. Go to our state of start. And maybe we don't want to animate there. We want to just go there as a starting point. Okay, so that parameter there says, do I want to use the animations to go there, or am I just going to magically transport to that state? All right, so that's cool. Now, if we have a look at our, let's just have a look at this. We have a look at our animation here. What this is doing is when it very first starts out, it starts out and then it just pulls itself down a little bit. Hey, thanks for the cheer, MJ Freelancing. All right, let's have a look. See, it just sort of comes down here a little bit. So that's what I was referring to with the entrance state. So let's do this. Let's create ourselves another state. In fact, you know what? I'm going to just copy this for the moment. And we'll say this is our entrance state. Dylan, his stream is wild. Why is it wild? Is he a loose unit? Is that what you're telling me? All right, so what we want to do is we want to actually have a different entrance rect. Right, so we want to work out where it wants to be. Let's start off, it's basically the starting rect, but then move down a little bit, right? So we could say, let's make this equal to the start rect. And then we could say entrance rect dot, just modify its location. And if we did just the same thing that we did before, we'll say minus left, and then we'll say minus top, and we'll just move it down a little bit. At the end of his stream, all of his viewers are entered into a battle royale. I see. Did he eventually start using the stream avatars down below as well? Did he? He mentioned that he might start using them. Okay, I will. I'll go and check out the last few minutes. Sounds like fun. Yeah, the avatar's beautiful. Okay, so what am I doing here? I'm basically saying, okay, well, let's go and do this. Let's animate this by, like, I don't know, 20 degrees. Okay, this will all make sense in a second. All right, so we now have that. So let's say we did this. Let's say we said storyboard.go to state, go to entrance, true. Okay, so animate. All right. And what I'll do is just so we can play around with these, I'm adding a click handler to this image. I hate the names this give it. Let's go pizza tapped. Just to give us a way of actually navigating between those various states. So I could do something like this, right? I could basically Storyboard doesn't have a current state. I remember these were a couple of changes that I wanted to do to this animation engine. So at the moment, you've got this go method, right? Which takes us to a new state, but it doesn't have a property to get it back out. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say object current state. And then I'm going to say current state equals Okay, so then what I can do is I can say switch on storyboard dot current state. And then on state dot start, if we click on it, we want to go to DylanBot says we should rename my animation, my storyboard. You're right, I should. If I could even find it. Where is it? Here we go. What should we call this? That's pretty long. Let's just call it anim state. Sure. All right. So what I'm thinking here, and what I'm doing here, so if we're in a start state, we'll go to entrance state. Excuse me. So this will just allow us to play around with these animation states a little bit. Oh, my Visual Studio's frozen. ASMR. I love it. Let's get rid of these brackets here. What am I doing? I promise I've written code before. All right. So that should just toggle us between two different states, if I'm not mistaken, when we tap on the pizza. Anyone use comment? I haven't used comment, no. You've used fabulous. Fabulous. It's quite the name. My machine is lagging out. Maybe I should try rebooting my machine more than once a week. Kill my Android emulator. I think my Android emulator is killing me. I got a lot of stuff running. I should actually set up a dual streaming machine. That's what I should really do. All right. So there's a question. Here we are. We've got lots of experienced Xamarin devs here in the channel. So the question is, what are our thoughts on building UI completely in code? Is it legal? Yes. Is it frowned upon? No, not really. Is there a performance hit instead of XAML? Or is it ultimately down to personal preference? Writing it straight in code is going to be faster than XAML because XAML has to be parsed. So ultimately, like, code is going to be quicker. XAML, the advantage I find with XAML is it keeps things, it keeps things a little bit separate from your code. I prefer XAML. So I tend to use it. But yeah, I haven't built a lot of UI in C# either, Dylan. So it does have yeah. What about compiled XAML? Well, compiled XAML is going to be similar, I suppose. Yeah, it won't be. I don't think performance would be a major consideration, to tell you the truth. I think it's how you like to create your UI. So I don't think it would be noticeable. Xamarin.Forms coded UI gets a whole bunch easier. Yep. Luthien, hi. I wrote a big UI project that was 100% generated UI based on metadata. It turned out really well. So you mean like perhaps you got like a JSON file and then you created the UI from a JSON file. So yeah, doing that in code would have been nice. Dylan says hot reload in a dev loop. Yeah, I think that should all be changing soon though, right? Shouldn't we get C# reload sometime soon? Should be soon. I think it needs to, I'm not sure if it's working for Android, is it? All right, what were we doing? Well, let me see if this is going to work. Oh, there we are. There's our pizza doing little spins. So Lachlan says hot restart will never be quite as quick as XAML reload. Probably true. So Luthien, referring back to your project, server serve metadata that describe fields. UI would generate the fields and arrange itself based on the data type. Yeah, cool. Dylanbot says he's used continuous before. Yeah, I've used continuous as well back in the old days, actually, when I used to do more development on a Mac in Xamarin Studio. And that was beautiful. All right. Now there's one thing, there's another bug as well, actually, that I'm aware of with this state engine. Hang on, I'm going to quickly change that. And that is when we do a layout, it doesn't actually update the layout of the element. I've fixed this a few times. I need to put this into a place where I keep on updating it, because I keep copying it around at the moment and it's annoying me. All right, cool. So now what I should be able to do is pretty easily create some different states for that pizza, right? Ultimately, and have it adjust, right? So I've got an entrance state. So I pretty much want to say when I'm in a small state, all right, so the question now is working out what our small state should be, where our rectangle should be. All right. So have I tried React Native or Flutter? I tried Flutter back when it first launched. I found it coming from a .NET C# sort of background. I didn't really gel with it because I didn't really like Dart, and I didn't like when you had to go to the platform, you had to do things in Objective-C or Java. So I prefer to just keep in C#. But I think it's really cool. I think Flutter is really cool, but it's not for me. Haven't tried React Native. Okay, so let's say we've got our rectangle here, right? What we're trying to do is set up our rectangle for our state here. So if we have a look at the state of this puppy, when it's in small, okay, it goes there, it's indented a little bit. Okay, let's just throw a few values in here. So let's say it's like 20 from the side, 200 from the top, and we'll just make it 150 by 150. All right, we'll say go there and we'll make this a rotation of 45. I'll go ahead and I'll just sort of invent some values for the medium and large as well. And this will kind of become a little bit, more interesting when you see there'll be lots of other animation values we'll put in here as well. Okay, so let's say we had our medium rect. And we'll just offset this a little bit. So let's say we grow this by, put a little bit further up the page. We'll grow this a little bit as well. So we'll make it a bigger image. The reason we're going up the page is because it kind of, the left-hand side stays in the same point, right? So I've grown that by 50. So I'll subtract half of that, 25 off of here. So again, we'll add 50 to this, so we'll make this 250. So we'll take 25 off, make it 150. Adjust our rotations. Let's see how that looks. All right. So we're going to have various states there. Let's do this. Let's put all of our states in here when we click on this. So what did we have? We had entrance, we had small, we have medium, and we've got large. So when we go to our entrance, we click on it, we'll go to small. From small, we'll go to medium. From medium, we'll go to large. From large, we'll go back to start. Beautiful. All right. Lots going on in the chat here. Lots of discussion, which is beautiful. So Dragon talking about coding for a few years. Haven't had to write native code, which is great. Dylan, Xamarin, React Native, Flutter, all different types of abstractions on top of the native platform. Yep, absolutely. The one interesting thing about Flutter, I suppose, is that it renders its own controls, whereas Xamarin.Forms actually uses the controls, which is a little bit different. Oh, TypeScript. All right, let's see if this works. So what we've done is we just toggled through the various states of our pizza. In most cases. Yeah, well, that's true. It doesn't always use the native controls, but mostly it does. All right, let's have a look at our pizza. All right. Well, the chat's where it's at, Dragon. So all I did was I added some states, right? So basically that pizza, just basically registering its location and its rotation for each of the various states, right? And so then what I have is I've got a pizza, which is going to animate through states. Okay, which is pretty cool, right? I don't mind that. All right, so that's the easy bit. All right, I feel like yeah, that's pretty good. We'll adjust the sizes later on. Let's get some other elements inside of here as well. All right, so let's have a look back at the design. So it goes down. So obviously it needs to be a little bit bigger. Okay, we'll adjust those sizes. The other interesting thing here as well is you notice this text follows it around. So we could use exactly the same approach as well for that. I think it needs to rotate a little bit further as well. And I probably should do it, lots of distractions. So the good thing, Dylan, is that because I got young kids, I'm used to distraction. But it's not distraction. This is what it's all about. And it's one of the reasons why actually I have to start with these UI challenges, actually summarizing them into blogs or into short like videos, because during these streams, I'm not really that worried about getting through the code as fast as possible. I prefer to just hang out and chat. So Dragon says, also not sure if it's because of the aspect ratio, but the pizza is a bit larger in the dribble design. It is. It is. So when it's large, it's kind of about, so if you have a look at that, that pizza's too small. When it's large, it's almost as wide as the page. So the thing is, we should be able to adjust that, right? Yeah, streaming's very casual. Dylan, you're streaming now, right? Well, I mean, you've always done it with your meetup, but personally doing it as well, I think. All right, so maybe we should get rid of some of these hard-coded values. Maybe we should say, okay, you're streaming under the Toronto Mobile Devs account. Yeah, so yeah, go and check that out. Feel free to throw links in the chat. I'm good with that. Dragon, excited to have to decide what to do. You know, that's the hard thing. What are you going to do? Building a project's a good idea. All right, so this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe these should be determined in proportional to the size of the screen. For example, maybe what we need to do is do some calculations. Cool. So Dylan Bot, yep, there's the Twitch link for anyone who wants it. Okay, let's do some math. So our math here is going to be something like, let's work out our image size. Yeah. So maybe we should like get the width. Gnar, new follower. Thanks, Gnar. Nar. Very cool. Welcome. Fight to the pain. I love it. That's all right, Dylan. Shamelessly self-promote. I'm a big fan of it. You know, like none of us are going to get rich streaming. Let's be honest. So the more we can cross-promote each other, the better. What happens if we said the width divided by divided by 3? So then what we could do is we could say the size of the image. Is this the width and the height, or is it the left and the right? It's the width and the height. Cool. So we could just do this. We could say small image. Let's just hack this together. See if it works. See if it gives us a better result. And then we always want to be 20 from the left, or our margin from the left.
Today we're gonna code lots with Mr. Kim.
Got to get yourself a jingle.
Oh, how amazing you'll be.
Okay. What am I trying to do here? I'm trying to get the position. So the position of this is going to be, basically, if we have a look at this here, it sizes across like this, keeps the same point here. So as we grow the pizza, we're going to need to work out that point based on the size of the image. So I'm going to do this. Let's just do this. Let's just get the height divided by 2 as a starting point. Right. So what we'll do is we'll say we want our Y position to, this rectangle to be Y pos minus something like that, maybe. So it should be in the middle of the screen. Let's see if that works first of all. So Dylan, in case you didn't pick up on it yet, Glenn Stevens is the person who wrote that jingle. All right, so that's, is that the right? So that was it halfway with a third of the width. I think it's a bit small. Dragon says, looks like the upper left corner is the anchor. So I think anchors are normally 0.5 to start with, Dragon. The problem here is, wait on, let's just do this. Let's say, all right, let me adjust these other ones here for a second. So we got our Y pos. If we say the small image size, let's just do this. Let's just go image size. Unless already I did. All right, let's just clutch this out. I got this. So let's get the width and we'll times it by 0.5. Let's have a look at how big it is. Pizza. You can tell I'm terrible at naming variables. I just want to see how big it is. Yeah, it's about half the page. It's about half the page. All right, so we'll do that by times by 0.5. Let's rename this to pizza image size. I love it. I'm such a hack. That's a struct, so it should be good. We'll do the same thing here. So that should be right. We should be able to do that, right? So I want to times this by let's say 0.7. And then for a large, we'll do it by 0.9. Something, right? Maybe. Does that feel about right?
Today we're gonna code lots.
TZ Tomato, thank you for the follow.
Amazing you'll be.
And welcome. Turns out we've got pizzas with tomato on them. There we are. Beautiful. Look at that. Such pizza. Such wow. I feel like we're gonna run out of space down here. I reckon that looks about right. Let's try it on iOS. Let's see how big it is on iOS. Definitely going to run out of space. We might have to use a bit of creative design here. Let's see the pizza. Where's the pizza? Hey, I've got a scene that does this. Hang on. Oh, it didn't work. Damn you. Oh well. So here it is on iOS. Here it is on Android. See, look how long and tall an iPhone is these days. Hang on. Should I fix my scene? Hang on a second. Let me... All right, maybe this will work. Hang on. No, I haven't got the size right. Hang on. Close. Not close enough, my friend. Wait on. That's not what I should be doing. What I should be doing, it's actually the problem is this, adjusting this window. Hang on. It's close. Wait on. So I'm going to just fix this. There we are. So now I've got my iOS and my Android. I've also got a scene just for iOS, which is kind of boring. It's lagging really hard, unfortunately. And a scene for Android. Mostly the reason my my iOS is lagging is because I'm doing it over Wi-Fi. Because I think the Ethernet's died on my Mac. Ugh. Anyway, all right, cool. So what have we got? We've got we kind of got our pizzas sort of where we want to go, right? So I thought what I would do. What time is it? It's 11:46. Should we try doing something really interesting? Like, oh, wait on. Okay, wait on. Look a few messages up. Cool. Dragon, I think the issue is the pizza should be slightly higher, maybe like 35 to 40%, so 50%. All right, cool. Let's do it. Let's say instead of our height being times divided by 2. You know, I'd prefer to, instead of doing divided by, because I really suck at maths, I'm just going to times it by 0.4, 40% of the way. Always multiply. Oh, wait on. Let's see if I've actually just launched this puppy on my Android device. Probably not what I want to do. Although Dylan is right. Dylan, mostly I actually use a physical device with visor. Emulators are a pain. But sometimes my physical device craps out. Hey guys, wanted to hear, there was a site called Live Coding, I think. Do you know if it's still available? Let me share a couple of links that I'm aware of. Oh, wait on. What's live coding? What do you mean by that? Are you looking for streamers? Are you looking for a place to stream? That was my old version. I've been dropping frames. Yeah. There we are. Just looking for streamers. Yeah, that's better. Look at that. There we are. Nice. I think you're right, Dragon. So it depends if you're looking for Xamarin streamers. Okay, here, let me show you a couple of places you can go and find streamers. So there is livecoders.com, maybe. Is that what we're called these days? No, that's not it. So there is the team of live coders, which I'm part of, and so we can come here. So this is a team. Hey, look, I'm streaming. This is cool to go to. You'll find lots there. Does anyone know? There's the Xam streamers. Yep, that's the one, Dragon. The Xam streamers. There's also one other that I know of as well. There's this thing here. Belly.io.programming. Okay, and this is pretty cool as well. This basically shows you all the people currently coding around the place. I don't know how up to date it is. Oh, look, it's got me. There we are. And it shows you how long they've been live for as well. So that's actually a pretty cool place. Anyway, we digress. So we've kind of got our pizza spinning around now. That's good. That's good. We like that. It's in a good position. Why don't we try something really fun? Hang on just 1 second. I've got an interrupter. Hey, how about we take a 5-minute break? Let's do that. Take a 5-minute break, and I'll come back. And what we'll do next is let's do this bit here. Let's see if we can get our pizza coming down into this bottom section here. So you watch, when we click here, this animates in, eats the pizza, and then closes up. Let's try that after the break. All right, so I'll see you in 5. If you leave, you get banned. That's not true. All right, I'll see you soon. too quiet. Not too quiet. In fact, I had my microphone off. Thank you. All right. What I was saying is we'll get this bottom part done where it eats the pizza. All right. So how would you do that? How would you do that? Nom, 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 nom. I'm thinking that we work out what the bounds are of this bottom corner. We create a duplicate of the pizza. We lay it out down to that position. Let's see if that works. Now, I don't think this is going to be a state, right? Like eating the pizza, nom, 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 is not really a state per se. Yeah, drag and duplicate the image, make it invisible, shrink it down, animate it. Perfect. Love it. But I don't think it's a state, right? It's just it's an action, because the actual pizza itself would still stay in like this state here. It's just we would create a duplicate of it, and then we would move it down to there, and everything else stays the same. Cool. So why don't we do that? Let's do it. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, let's create a duplicate of well, the problem is that it's not actually that pizza. Now, I'm not sure. I don't know a way of cloning an object in Xamarin.Forms, or in a Xamarin object, a deep clone, which is going to do its position, its size, its layout bounds, all that sort of stuff. I'd be more inclined to actually have a second flying pizza object, because there needs to be two of them. And then just when the time is right, animate that down. Hang on 1 second. Oh man, sorry about that. So like, come join my stream where I answer phone calls. All right. So anyway, what I was gonna say is, so Dragon says, just have to know that if you were working on transparencies in Android, it still has a hitbox unless you set visibility. Yeah, I noticed that, actually. So Dylan, you like that? That's pro streaming. It's like, I'm just going to take this call now. Yeah, very casual. I don't drink a lot of beer. That's my problem. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's just see if this works. So let's create ourselves another image, right? This is going to be our flying pizza. It has the same properties as the other one, except it's going to be invisible. Wine? I can do wine. I can do wine. Wow, Dragon, you don't drink alcohol at all. Fair enough. Like I'd prefer I'd prefer a soda, if you like, or a soft drink. Hey, Just Magic, welcome, and thanks for the follow. And it's now after midday. It's okay to drink. Yeah. Hey, I'll show you a really cool drink. Glenn Stevens got me this. It's pretty hard to see with the lights. So it's a Bob Ross cola. Positive energy drink is really cool. And I'm working on that hairdo. Bob Ross drink. It's a Bob Ross drink. Exactly. Positive energy. It's pretty cool. Anyway. All right. Flying pizza. We've got a flying pizza. It's visible. Okay, so what we'll do is, we're just going to move the pizza, the flying pizza, around with this. Right, so when we move that pizza, we're also moving our flying pizza, and that way we can be sure, because the problem is it's the other pizza has like translation and stuff like that associated with it, and rotation. All right, cool. So now let's make this button do something. For the moment, let's not worry about view models and all that useful stuff for the moment. Let's instead just say, okay, when we click this button, we want to eat the pizza. Hey, Dara. Can't sleep, 3:30 a.m. That's terrible. Unless you get to sleep in all day. See, my problem is I've got lots of kids, so I can't sleep in during the day because kids don't respect waking up late. Okay, so what do we want to do? Let's eat the pizza. So first thing we might want to do is we might want to get our flying pizza and make it visible. Okay, now what we need to do, work out where it needs to fly to. Got a 9 a.m. call, catch us asleep in the afternoon. Well, that's good. I mean, that's the advantage of working from home, right? Is you get to be flexible. So we need to know where we're flying to, and where we're flying to is essentially the bottom corner of that button. So let's give that button a name. What is it? The order, add to cart. Okay, fantastic name. Love it. So, if we had some chomp bounds, right? So this is going to be where it is. So this would be a new rectangle. Okay. And this is going to be based on the button. So if we say the bounds of the button, so what was that? Add to cart. Okay, so we should be able to get the bounds of that, and that'll tell us where the button actually is. So where we need this to fly to is button bounds well, actually, just work out the size of it first. Let's do that. PP. I don't know what that means. So first of all, let's get its size, right? So the size of so when we take this this pizza and we translate it down, we're going to have a little pizza here. So we'll work out how big that size is, and that size, personal preference, is going to be kind of like the size of that button. So if we get the height of that button, use that as a square. That's how big it will be. So let's say, let's get our button bounds dot height. Let's just start there as a beginner. Beautiful. Okay. Now its location is going to be a new point. We're going to say it's going to be button bounds dot right minus size dot width. Sure. And its Y point is going to be the button bounds dot top. Sound reasonable? So then we should be able to say that's where we want to chomp it to, right? We want to chomp it to that point there. So we should now be able to say flying pizza, chomp bounds, nom nom, dot layout to chomp bounds. We'll do it over 500 milliseconds, and we'll add an easing in there as well. That might be nice. We also want it to rotate as well. Let's have a look. Come back and have a look at this image. Yeah, it sort of rotates down and then rotates back out. But let's get the first bit going. To start with, flying pizza dot rotate relative. Let's do that. Rotate relative. Rel rotate. It over rotates and corrects. Yeah, so rel. I wonder if we could do it this way. Rel rotate to. No. Let's say it rotates 45 degrees. It does overshoot and then come back. And in fact, I think first of all, I want to just see if this actually does work and animates it to the right place. So we'll say flying pizza. Once it gets down there, is visible is false. But we want to do that. We want to await that one. So we need to make this an async void, our favorite kind of async. Let's see if it works.
Sometimes things don't work.
Nope. Because I didn't put commas in. Okay. Ooh. Look at that. Pizza be flying. Okay. Could probably fly from here as well. No. Ah, it's because I don't set the state of them there. Choo choo. That's pretty cool. Okay. So now we have a flying pizza. What we need to do is the next part, which is to make this button slide back. You watch, here it comes. Slides back and then comes back over it again. Am I going to add more pizzas? What do you mean? Apart from margaritas? I should, but margaritas are my favorite. I think it is rotating. I think it's just not rotating enough. But what we could do is we could come in here and we could say, okay, we've got our pizza. Once we've finished it rotating, we could take it back 90. Take a letter, margarita. We could maybe, yeah, maybe. Let's rotate this a little bit more. I think that would take care of the rotation. Or we could change the easing. Let's see how this looks and then we'll work from that. Okay, so we animate the pizza down. We need to do the button chomp. So I think what we're going to have to do there is basically translate that over. So there's a question. Does the flying pizza not remember its location at the end of the animation? So that's an interesting question, right? So why, given that I translated it down to here, right? why does it still start appearing up here again? And that's because we change its layout and its rotation, right? But we actually don't adjust its absolute layout bounds, right? And so what it's going to do is it's going to resort back to what its absolute layout bounds would be. We could be doubly sure because we're actually just animating its position. You could come up here and reset its layout bounds to be what the other pizza is as well, but it actually just works. All right, so if we do the button chomp, what about if we were to say, let's get the button bounds. So Dragon, why do I use the relative rotate to instead of the rotate to? The reason I did that is because all we're doing here is we're saying whatever its rotation is when it gets down to like the bottom here, I want it to be 90 degrees more than it was, right? Because each of these different ones have different rotations. So I want it to start from there. Yeah, plus or minus a degree instead of a specific degree. Exactly. Okay, so let's work out what the button needs to be. So the button needs to be a new rectangle. That could probably be add to cart button dot locate. Okay. And then we could have a new size. So its width wants to be add to cart button dot width minus the height of the button. Because that and it's button bounds dot height. So let's try this. Let's go and get our add to cart button. Let's lay it out to button chomp bounds over 500. All right. And if you want to weight that, and then we'll lay it out back to its original size, which was button bounds. Now we want to await that. Let's work out our weights here. So we're animating the pizza down. When it's animating, so while that's flying, while the flying pizza's flying, we want to do the button chomp. So Dragon says, is there a concept of Z-index in Xamarin.Forms so you can layer things in a specific way? There is this. There is, the only one I know of is there's raise child and lower child, I think. Let's have a look. Xamarin.Forms, which is of a layout, I think. Raise child. Yeah. So there's raise child, send something to the front of the visual stack. And I think there is also lower child. Maybe there's not even. Yeah, there's a lower child. Sends it to the back. I don't think you can set it at a particular point though. So it's pretty crude. It doesn't really have the concept of Z ordering as much as you'd want. Okay, what are we doing? We're doing the button chomp. We're flying a pizza. The pizza flies. Yeah. So we're going to go 500. There's workarounds for that though, Dragon. So we're going to go button chomp. We chomp that out. That rotates. Once it's finished, we close that. Hang on, what's this doing? I feel like this is... Okay, we'll wait for that one. Then we'll rotate the pizza. Once that's finished, we'll lay it out back to where it was. I think this is a duplicate in here. Let's see what we get there. Ooh, there we are. That looks all right. Let's have a look at that. And our backspin works pretty well, actually. It should work from pretty much any position. Okay. So what we need now is, let's have a look at the original image. It's actually a little bit different here, so we'll adjust these screens a little bit later on. Yeah, so we need, yeah, let's watch it. We need a white box behind it. All right. Time for tricks. So let's grab something that's the same as this, but do we need a name for it? We don't need a name for it. Let's make it a box view, maybe. Let's give it a background color of a white. Doesn't need a clicked event, doesn't need a height request, doesn't need text. Okay, so the order. Yeah, let's talk about order, because what's going to happen is, of course, the ordering of things goes that way, right? So in this case, we would have our button, and then so that would be there, and then in the Z order, this box view would go over top of that, right? So we need this to be before that. So that should make that white box underneath this button. Let's test that out. All right, cool. But now the problem is the pizza. Yeah, we would need it before the pizza, because otherwise the pizza goes behind it. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's totally what we'll need to do. We'll need to grab this bad boy, and we're going to have to put them up here. Hot reload failed. Chomp. How's that? That's awesome.
Victory.
That's surprisingly easy, but you know, it's all based on the fact that we're getting layout bounds. All right, cool. Well, that's a good good thing to achieve for today. Let's. I'm probably going to have to jump off before too long. Let's have a quick look at our design again. And work out what we need to do. Jeez, dragon. There's a little bit of margin. That's all right. Yep, you're right. There is. So my pizza is the full slice. So actually, I mean, I need to change this around. This is like a proof of concept, right? So it appears to work. So let's think about what we would do here. What else do we need? We need to have, there's kind of like two, you can always use more pizza, exactly. The thing that controls this, get this out of the way here. The thing that controls all of this in this UI is this bar here. So there's like this button that moves around the place that you press. And behind that there is some kind of ruler, which we might have to be a quick skier sharp ruler on there. Oh, the other thing as well is we've got small, medium, large text that follows it. That's interesting. And then we've got that bad boy that animates as well. and it also animates here. So I think next time, why don't we get a little bit of text to follow this one around, and then next time we'll do this button, and there's a few elements that rotate, that move around the place, like this header moves around, this quantity swaps out to a different one as well. Change the size of the price scrolling up or down. Yeah, it uses the same sort of, I think we'll write a custom control. Let's write a custom control next time that allows you, when you change a value, it actually sort of flips it up. All right. But let's just get a bit of text that comes underneath each of these. And then we might call it quits for the day. So this shouldn't be too bad, right? All we really need is we just need to grab ourselves a label in our page. So we've got our pizzas, we've got our flying pizza. Let's grab a label. Okay, we'll make this a size label. And we can use the bounds that we calculate, I reckon. So we'll just say absolute layout bounds equals, and again, it doesn't really matter. What matters is we set the absolute layout flags to be none. And we'll set our text equal to, I don't know, we'll start off with small. We'll change that. Set our text color to white. Set our font size equal to 12. Maybe we should, well, let's not bother. Let's just get it working first. So we got our size label, right? So yeah, absolute layout is pretty cool for this sort of stuff. It's not, I don't use it very often. So here's my theory, right? What we could do is we can basically just add that into when we calculate our recs here. So basically for the starting state, it's not visible. So all we need to do is we need to say, what was it called? Size label. We can just say its opacity is 0. But we want it to immediately change to 0. So we'll say its length is 0. How's that? Okay. So size label is not visible in the start. It's also not visible when we're doing the entrance. When we go to the small, it is visible. Okay, and in fact, the same goes for each of these. The label's going to be visible. What we need to do is we need to work out the size. Android requires at least 0. Well, what the animation state machine does, I think, is it says it has a look at the length, and it either just sets it or it animates to it. I think it'll be all right. Let's find out. Maybe it will crash. It's quite possible. It wouldn't be the first time my app's crashed. So what should we do here? We should work out our small label rect. I think we could probably say we can just have it at okay. So this would want to be at 20, and then okay. Let's do this first. Let's just say new rectangle. We'll put it at 0, 0. We'll try this trick. We'll make it pizza image size width wide, and our height probably doesn't really matter, does it? Like, just the height or the bottom? It's the height. Let's make it, well, actually we could just use the label to work it out, right? We could say says label dot height, maybe. Okay, and then what we could do is we could say small label rect dot location is a new point, and the X position, we'll just get our small rect dot left, and then we could have the Y position as our small rect dot bottom plus some value. Let's make it 20. That makes sense? And then we could say size label. We lay that out to the small label rect. We'll refactor this as well, I think. All right, let's try that. What do you think? I think that will work. Let's combine this together, perhaps. So I'll just, again, we'll think about refactoring this in a moment. We'll just sort of like be terrible coders. All right, I think that'll be all right. And then we could just say we want to lay each of these out. Dragon, when using commanding along with animations, where does the animation live? In the XAML CS or in the view model, or do you have a command as well as a click event bound? I don't think animation lives in the view model. You could change state in the view model. It's visual state, but even then that's like, it could be based on, I don't know, my view is, yeah, animation belongs in not in the view model. The view model should not really know too much about the visual representation of it. That's my view. So yeah, I think part of the view, exactly, Dylan. So I don't have a problem with having code behind on pages, personally. So it could even be something like, you know, in the view, it hooks up to a property changed event for the view model. Or hopefully you use bindings. Yeah. Exactly. Trust Dylan. Dylan knows his things. All right, let's see if we can get this puppy working. So in these ones here, the entrance and the start, we don't really care about positioning it. It doesn't really matter. Let's see if that works.
Sometimes things don't work.
I know things because Kim taught me back in Xamarin University days. I know nothing. Let's see if this is working. Are we running? Oh, small. Not in the right place, but it's small. Medium. Large. The text doesn't change. That's interesting. Small, medium, large. Okay, so in this case, for example, perhaps I should put a view model in and actually talk about what the selected pizza is. Messaging Center. Yeah, Messaging Center is make sure you unsubscribe. I'm going to cheat here for the moment. Yeah. I know some people really hate it. Yeah. So what are you saying there, Dylan? Yeah, it does totally depend, right? Like, I totally agree with that. Like some things, you know, you don't have to do it the full MVVM perfect way. You know, like get everything out of your view. The thing to remember, I suppose, is that pretty much anything that's in the view, you can't really test unless you are doing, you know, like actually spinning it up on devices. So that's why people prefer things like, you know, in Xamarin.Forms, navigation is on the view, which kind of sucks, which is why most people want to move it to the view model, because then they can actually test that. You know, I press this button, I go to this view, right? Which is why people put the navigation service in the view model, or they call it from the view model. Anyway. All right, let's see what we have here. Now, it wasn't quite appearing right, and I think that's because I need to center this. Well, that didn't work well. Time for you to run, Dylan. Well, I'm actually about to finish up here as well. I'm just going to fix this stupidness I did here. Why doesn't that work? Ah. No worries. Thanks, Dylan. Small, medium. Yeah, look, we'll fix this. We'll fix it. Yeah. See, like that's terrible, right? What we need is we need a view model. Because this is saying my current state is here. What is the new state I'm going to? See you later, Dylan. So that would probably come from the view model and we would bind to it. Small, medium, large. I feel like it's flicking a little bit. I bet you, let's have a look at, let's add a little bit of color behind it. Unfortunately, my hot reload isn't working very well. Yeah, that's because my label's like this. Yeah, that's terrible. So we probably don't want horizontal options of center. We probably, you know what? It doesn't matter. It could be fill. It could be fill. That would be fine. Vertical option should be start. That's what it should be. All right, we'll get rid of the yellow because I think that's going to be fine.
Excellent.
Text alignment. Yeah, text alignment is there. Center. That works. How do they do it? Of course, they don't go back through the cycle. For them, they go small to medium and then would go from large back to medium. Oh yeah, font size could be a lot better. So what I was going to do is I was probably going to end the stream now. And then next time we'll tidy all this up because that means that mostly the sort of interesting animation parts, except for this control, I'm keen to create a reusable control. And we'll also do all the colors and the fonts and things, I think, next time. So the styles. But that kind of works pretty well. Small. Because I haven't bought the fonts in yet. And of course, to make you happy, Dragon, as well, I'll reduce the size of that pizza. But there we are. That's pretty cool. So that's that's absolute layout, all right? Absolute layout to the rescue for that one. All right, let's have a look. Any other questions before we finish up? What's everyone got planned for the weekend? I think I'm going to do some work on the weekly Xamarin application this weekend. No worries. Which app? So last Friday, instead of doing a UI challenge, oh, that's right, it's not the weekend for you guys. Here, let me. We spec'd out an application for the weekly Xamarin newsletter, and of course, like all things, it blew out of proportion. But my emulator's in the middle of the screen. Oh, okay. Maybe this is it. Yeah, so we talked about creating a weekly Xamarin app that would look something like this, right? It will give us a list of issues of the weekly Xamarin. We could like do a search on them, and we could get searches on particular issues. We could go to articles and have a look at that. We could have a look at the organizer, and that would show us all of their articles. There would be saved articles, so articles that you save from weekly Xamarin. We would have this concept of events, so we can see who's live streaming at a particular time, who's upcoming, what events are upcoming. And we haven't done the settings app. So I kind of got to polish this up a little bit more, and then actually create the application. So it should be fun. Yeah, let me here we are. Let me have a look here. Oops. Yeah, if you go to github.com/ and I'm doing this all not under my account because I want this to be driving sort of recognition in the community and stuff like that. But yeah, I've got like the functional requirements and things like that. Nice to haves. And inside of here, there should be the design as well. So the Adobe XD design. All right. So yeah, I'll do some of that work on the weekend, or at least create the project so as people can contribute. Nice one. MJ Freelancing. I have a general Xamarin.Forms questions. I have NuGet packages I use in Xamarin.Forms, but I want to create an Android specific package that has a renderer. What project types do I create for that? Well, if you've got a renderer, you're going to need to have some shared code, right? To probably for your bindable properties and stuff. You're going to need to have an Android specific one, which is going to have your actual renderer and the registration for your renderer in there. So I think you're really just creating a .NET Standard library. Really comes down to it. But I think James, what's Magno plugin template? I think James's plugin template is still going to be this one here. I think if you create one of these puppies, it's been a while since I created a NuGet for a renderer, but I think this would be fine for you actually. Yeah. So you have a control in your primary Xamarin.Forms package. So when you say a control, you mean, so in your shared code, you would have the definitions for it, right? Like the bindable properties and stuff like that if you have it. The rendered one would have to go into an Android or an iOS one. Yeah, a custom entry. Yeah, so if you had them in your iOS and your Android platform projects, because presumably you're setting some stuff in that, then that code would just exist there, and anything else would be in a shared place. So hopefully that would work for you. Well, when you use this template, it'll actually create you Android, so that you'll still have an Android project, and you'll still have, actually no, maybe he's using that new fandangled. Well, actually, I think I have one here. Sorry, github.com. Here is an example of a project. Actually, this is where I bundle up an effect, right? But I actually have an Android project, right? Which has all the Android namespaces. I have an iOS one, which has the iOS specific code. I have some shared code, which is like just the properties and in this case, it's a routing effect. And then the project itself, which are always impossible to read, basically just says when it creates this NuGet package, right? It has a look and it says, it basically compiles the Android, all of this stuff. It has that version in there. So it basically creates, several builds essentially, and then they all get packaged up into a NuGet. So anyway, that one should still work, I think. But probably James maintains his circle image a bit better than I maintain my code, because that was a couple of years ago. But yeah, I'd have a look at that one, because he's last updated that this year. Beautiful. Anyway, let us know how you go with that one. Okay, let's see if we have anyone who we want to raid. What do you think? Should we try raiding? Anyone got a raid target for me? Let's see if we can find somebody. Okay, no worries, Dragon. Great. Thanks for coming. Actually, I don't have anyone that I want to... Well, there is TBD Gamer, who's doing something on how to decide on a mobile application framework. That could be useful for people. So maybe we should do that. Let's go there. So if you're interested in sort of evaluation of different frameworks, have a look at TBD Gamer. Say hi. And otherwise, join me here next week, and we'll finish up some of this UI. And stay tuned over the weekend. I may very well be streaming out some weekly Xamarin stuff. All right. So take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. See you next time. And say hi to TBD Gamer for me.